Righty ho, let's see if this works. We are here. We are live. And we are only an hour and a half away from Andor. Oh boy. Hello everybody. How are we doing? I'm hoping that we are going to have a fun evening. Just going to see if the chat pops out properly. I think I've resolved some of the issues. I think I've managed to get some chat highlights working. But we'll test them. We'll test them as time goes on. But yes, it is 12:30 here in the UK. May the 7th. It is now my 37th birthday. And I'm getting a very nice present in the form of Andor, episode 7, 8, and 9. Which I am very much happy about. I won't lie. Again, getting 3 episodes in a row is very nice. You know? Even if it is going to keep me up all night. Let me just make sure this is live on the channel. Yes, it is. Excellent. Fabulous. Let's just go in and clear some things before we get into this. There we go. Excellent. Also, Zuko's having a bit of a mad evening. He's having a bit of dart around. He's having the zoomies. But yeah, less than 90 minutes away now from Andor. Our third arc out of 4. And I've got a feeling it's going to be a massacre. It is going to be a massacre, I feel. Ooh, pardon me. So, I'm just going to test. Yeah, there we go. It is. You can hear me. Oh. Zuko, what are you doing? Come on, jump down. Jump down, buddy. Jump down. We haven't even been on 5 minutes. Hey, Jackson. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I hope you have a lovely dinner. I don't know what's on the menu, but I hope you enjoy. And just confirmed, chat highlights are working. Fantastic. Which is a good thing, because I've been trying to get them to work for the last week in preparation of doing some watch parties for Clone Wars. Tried doing a bit of a test live stream yesterday and couldn't get them to work. But I found a little extension which is very helpful, very useful. And as you can see there, it is working a-okay. So, but yes, so we've got, I went back and rewatched Secret Cargo, the Rebels episode where they rescue Mon Mothma, just to kind of get back into the preparation, because again, I don't know if they're gonna, retcon those events. I don't know if Mon Mothma is even going to be involved in this arc, or if she's going to be involved in the last arc, where she essentially turns on the Imperial Senate. Who knows? But I was rewatching it just to get back involved with it, just to remind myself of what it was that she'd said and what had happened. So that was an interesting. That was the episode of the TIE Defender. I've tried to have a sleep as well. Last week I managed to get a few hours sleep before the episodes went up. This week, no such luck. I lay down, tried to get some sleep, and it just did not. My body just did not want to go to bed. It is kind of difficult when it's 7 o'clock in the evening, and you're trying to sleep because you're going to be up all night. And my body was just like, nope, we're not going to sleep. We're not going to have a nap. You're going to have to lie there, stare at the ceiling, and just wait. And so eventually, after a couple of hours, I just got up, had some food, played some Hearthstone, I watched Solo as well, because I haven't seen that film in a while. And you know what? It's a lot of fun. It's a little bit visually dull. I still think the movie's a bit too colourless, but I think it's a fun movie. You know, and I think Alden Ehrenreich does actually does a half decent job. And you know, in the opening scenes as well, he really does have a look of Han, which I never noticed before. It never really clicked with me. But again, time, you know. Oh, dearie me. So, how are we all this evening? Are we excited for Andor? Because I know I am. I am looking forward to Andor very much. Let me just go in and have a quick look here. There we go. Fabulous. So yeah, again, I'm still testing out some features for the live streaming. And I'm trying to think, what time would it be over there in the US? It would be 20 to 8 on the eastern coast and 20 to 5 on the western coast, if I'm right in thinking. God, the western coast folk, you've got it real nice, haven't you? For that release time. What is that, like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the evening? It releases for you. Whereas it's 2 o'clock in the morning here for those of us in the UK, which, yeah, is not so bad if you don't have work. But if you're like me and you've got work in the morning, then it's pretty much an all-night thing. But I'll definitely sleep tomorrow. I know that much. So, let me just check that there. Boom, boom, boom. But yes, how is everybody doing? I've got a different overlay up on YouTube Live because I'm having to pop the chat out. So it's a bit strange because it's a bit different for me looking at it this way. But I'm assuming everyone can hear me okay. I'm assuming that I'm coming through clearly for everybody. Certainly sounds like it. Yeah. It does indeed come through clearly. But yeah, I think we're getting the Gorman Massacre. I think we are getting the Gorman Massacre. And it's going to be bloody. It's going to be... I think we are going to see some of the most violent and downright devastating Star Wars scenes that we've ever seen here. I think Bix is on the chopping block. I think lots of civilians are going to die. You know, if people were upset with scenes from that first arc, then this third arc is probably going to blow them away. That's my thought. So, but we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? Because we've got 3 full episodes here. I'm trying to picture in my mind, obviously, we're going to catch up with Gorman a year later, where it is under more of a militaristic control. I'll assume that the mining operation has begun. The armory has been completed. There's probably stormtroopers in the streets. And the rebel underground is ever growing, which is exactly what the Empire wants. It wouldn't surprise me if Dedra was also on Gorman at this point. You know, Sirill is kind of... You know what? It might even still be interesting if Sirill's still been undercover for a year with the rebel group, but I don't know if he'd be able to hold out that long. Sirill Khan is doing well in that last arc. He did well to go undercover, but I don't know if he'd be able to hold up for a year. So my feeling is that he has probably abandoned ship on that. Dedra's going to go in. And hold on a second. just a message there. But yes, Oscar Tessalotte, is that how you pronounce your surname? How are you doing? There's Zuko. I have a weird feeling about Sirill. Oh, thank you. You okay? You have a crazy theory that I might hate. What's the crazy theory? My theory about Sirill is that he's going all in on the Empire. Like, Dedra is going to be the one who starts to feel bad, and he's just going to be all in, you know. Natalie, happy birthday. I'm a new subscriber and I was happy to find you. Well, thank you, Natalie. I hope you've enjoyed the videos that have come out so far, and I hope that you're enjoying Andor. Oh, I've just realised that is a bit too long. I'm just going to have to amend this. There we go. That's better. And again, I'm still experimenting around with some of these features. So I'm still adjusting. I was trying to do a test stream yesterday to get these working. And obviously, it didn't quite work out the way I'd intended it. Couldn't get it working properly. But it appears to be working for the most part now. It's just about sizing it on screen. But yes, thank you very much, Natalie. Thank you, Oscar. I appreciate that. From Burbank, California. Again, you guys on the western coast. What time are you getting Andor? Is that like 6 o'clock in the evening? Because that's a pretty nice time to be able to sit down and watch Andor. You know, I've got to sit here and just wait till 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh, again, I need to. Some of these bigger ones here are a little. There we go. I'll figure it out. I think Sirill might have something with Enza. He kind of looked her up and down a little bit during the meeting, and it made total sense to both sides to encourage this. Could it make him change? Like he does like this undercover kind of relationship. I don't know if he'd have the skill to pull that off. I really don't. It's an interesting theory, though. I don't think it would make him change. I don't think he's going to change. I don't think there's anything that could make Sirill Khan change his mind about the Empire. Dedra Meero, on the other hand, I think she is going to have a kind of moment of awakening. Al, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Watched you back during the Clone Wars. Found you again last year. Been a blast to watch your journey. I appreciate that. Funnily enough, I am planning on doing a Clone Wars rewatch party chronologically, because what I have never done is watched the Clone Wars in chronological order. I've watched it a couple of times in the seasons 1 to 7, like all the way through, but I've never watched it chronologically. So I'm thinking, because it's been a couple of years since I watched it, and I've never seen it chronologically, it makes sense that maybe when Andor is finished, might well do that. It would make a fun live stream on a Friday night. So thank you for that. But yeah, so again, this is definitely going to be the Gorman Massacre. But I just don't know where we're going to end up, and where that last, episode is going to, that last arc, should I say, is going to put us. So, I'm blown away he developed the skill to pull off what he's already done. I was both disgusted and weirdly ickily happy he had proven he was competent. He's the grossest underdog. Yeah, I love him as a character, and again, there's nothing wrong with liking a good villain. Obviously don't hero worship them. Don't sympathize with them unless they have sympathetic qualities. But Sirill Khan is kind of one of those people who I root for as a villain to do villainous things, so that later down the line, he can be undone. It was the same with Dedra in the first season. Like, up until she started torturing Bix, I think the purpose of the story was make people root for her because she's a bit of the underdog. She's the new girl in the ISB. You can see how she's being pushed around. So it makes you want to root for her. And then you realise, oh yeah, she's still an ISB supervisor. She's still pretty shitty. She's torturing people. So yeah. 2 a.m. Oh yeah, that's the same here. Unfortunately, 2 a.m. is the time that Andor comes out, and it's changed because obviously it used to be 8 a.m. When they did the midnight releases. That's Zuko again, just doing whatever he can to try and interrupt because he is an attention whore. I want the spiders to do something that screws up the Empire's day. I don't think we're going to see anything with spiders other than them just being creepy. I think that the Empire is going to get a good victory here. Like we know the Gorman Massacre happens. So the Empire is going to win the day. And you know what? I'm not opposed to that. I think the Empire needs to win something to make them competent. This is what I've really liked about Andor, is that they've made the Empire feel competent. They have, made them into a threat. That's something that, obviously in the movies, you can't really do too much other than just showing them being dominant with technology, dominant with numbers. But in terms of their competence in the movies, they always come across as disorganized, clumsy, unable just to fight even basic guerrilla warfare. But that's because you only got 2 hours to tell the story. But in shows, as you expand the universe, and that's, again, I know Rebels was for a younger audience, but one thing that annoyed me about Rebels is the fact that the Empire was constantly being made to look foolish. And so at that point, I was like, once again, Ezra and Kanan go undercover. They steal, stormtrooper outfits. Once again, the Empire's plots are foiled. So it's kind of like, it's a refreshing take here to see the Empire actually put into place plans and execute them and do really well. So how are you liking the paces of the episodes being released? In some ways, I love it, but also sad that everything will be over so soon after waiting 3 years. Yeah, again, I'm mixed. Obviously, it's great to be able to get episodes one after the other, and not be like, oh, this episode's finished, that's it now. But at the same time, it's kind of like, yeah, I want this to last for a while. I want this to keep going on, so I had something to look forward to for week and week and week. But again, also, I think they fit them in well together. I think the way they've been paced, the way they've been edited, would have been very difficult to do otherwise. So it's worked, but again, it's a bittersweet thing where it's like, yes, I'm really enjoying 3 episodes on the bounce. Obviously, for someone who does reactions, it sucks to edit 3 episodes back to back first thing in the morning. It really does. But it's content. I'm really loving it, I think it would be a fantastic story setup if the Empire just has an unequivocal victory here, but this show has made me hate them enough and hopeful enough. I still think things can go okay. Rach, I just got to say, if you're hoping that things are going to go okay, this is not the show. No one is getting out of this alive. Obviously, we know that Cassian and Saw get out of it alive, only to die in Rogue One. But Mon Mothma, I think, is going to be the only person who actually makes it out unscathed for the most part. So, yeah, I get that, though. What are your opinions on Saw Gerrera? I love Saw Gerrera. I love, the way they've developed him. Forrest Whitaker has done a fantastic job, I think, as Saw over the last few years. Really taking that character that, was just a rebel, fighting for his home in the Clone Wars, bringing him onto live action screen and giving him this very unique kind of persona, like showing you how fucked up someone who's been fighting a war their whole life is. And again, I love what they've done with him in this second season, where it's like, yeah, okay, revolution is not for the sane, and huffing all that, explosive, the Rhydonium, makes so much sense. Firstly, why he's got the breathing apparatus in Rogue One, probably why he's lost a number of limbs, but also explains his psyche as well, the kind of the delusions, the kind of paranoia. It's really great. I really am enjoying the character. And again, I don't know how much more we're going to see of him in this show. I wouldn't be surprised if that was it. But if that is it, then I think, hey, kudos to Forrest Whitaker, kudos for Tony Gilroy for giving us a little bit more of Saw in the form that we need to see him. Just going full on psycho. That's great. Hey, Rocky. Still wild. Andor hasn't met K2SO yet. This arc, maybe. Yeah, I'm thinking that's probably going to be on Coruscant, maybe? I'm not 100% certain, but yeah, you would think, because that's a big part for Alan Tudyk, and it feels like when they're in Rogue One, they've been together for a while. So, keeping in mind that this is only now 2 years out from from Rogue One, I would think that, he is going to be inbound shortly. But yeah, you know what? I kind of even forgot that he was going to be in the show, because there's so much going on that it's like, oh yeah, K2SO is going to be in this. Do you think Luffen will be revealed to be a Jedi by the end? No, absolutely not. And I think that would ruin so much. That would instantly tank the show for me. Like, no joke, if Luffen was revealed to be a Jedi, that would just undo all of the hard work that's gone into making him such an interesting character. I'm sick to death of it just being Jedi. I'm beginning to really not hate. I don't hate the Jedi, but I'm beginning to really kind of despise this kind of same formula of, oh, it's a Jedi, oh, it's a Sith, oh, it's this person, oh, it's that person. It's like, give me something different. And Luffen, I want him to just be a complex individual who doesn't have the Force, who is just doing his own thing. He's fighting his own fight, and it's an accumulation. Sorry, Zuko's down here. Come on, out of the way, buddy. Because he's down by the power cables. I don't want him getting caught up in them. And I want it to be an accumulation of all his experiences to be why he is, to be why he fights. I don't want it to be, oh, I've got a tragic backstory. I, lost a Padawan. Wait, did you just swipe at me? Go on, get out. He's being very clingy today. So yeah, I really would not want, him to be a Jedi, because it would ruin his character for me. No joke. I'm not being hyperbolic there. I know people said that his cane, might be a lightsaber, but I think it was actually revealed to be a knife in one of the episodes earlier on this season. So yeah, it's not a lightsaber. And he had the Kyber crystal. I think he might have known a Jedi. I'm not even opposed to him having had, say, a friendship or a familial relationship with a Jedi, and that's how he got the Kyber crystal. But I just would not want it to be a case of him being a Jedi. Yeah. So, come on, what are you doing? Are you so desperate for attention? You want to jump up? Hey? You looking for a snack? I think he wants a snack. That's what he wants. Come on. There you go. That's all empty now. I feel like pacing. I like pacing. I feel if you look at it as 4 high-quality movies instead of a standard TV show, it's better. Yeah, I mean, again, you could look at them as kind of TV movies, because they're all roughly around about an hour and a half to 2 hours long. Each arc, I should say. And they're all kind of on different topics, but close enough to be related. And again, I always feel like that's where they went wrong with something like Kenobi. Kenobi was a movie put into 6 TV episodes, and they didn't pace it well. So yeah, you could definitely say that. It becomes tiresome if people wanting him to be a Force user. I agree. I definitely agree that it's just let the Force go, let the Jedi go. What do you think is going to be next on the horizon for Star Wars on Disney? It's been an interesting ride of all these different shows, Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Acolyte, etc. But curious as to what's next. I think that they're probably going to revert to animation. Obviously, we've got the Mole show coming up next year, I think, is it? It was announced, obviously, this year. I don't think we're going to see many live-action shows announced over the next 12 months. Obviously, we've got Ahsoka Season 2 coming up, but I think they're really scaling back on that kind of thing. I'd like to see Boba Fett get a second season. But the problem is that how do you, like with Skeleton Crew, they did a really, really good job of creating a fun show that was about new characters that had a really unique kind of vibe, a unique theme, but was it really popular enough to justify the studio spending on it, where you could have spent that money on a movie? I don't know. I think we're definitely going to be sort of switching over to movies for a while. And, whilst we build up the Star Wars universe of the movies, then eventually we'll start to get more shows coming through. Again, what a good movie will do is give us the ability to have spin-offs of those individual characters. So, maybe the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will get an interesting character that we'll be able to have a spin-off of. Who knows? The 3 releases a week is, I think, something people might change their mind on in the future, depending on what's next. I think it's going to be very specific to this show. I don't think any other show is going to be like that, simply because this show is structurally intended to do that. Because Tony Gilroy and the people who write the episodes are smart enough to structure it that way. However, other shows, it mightn't fit. Like Ahsoka, it wouldn't fit. Kenobi, it wouldn't have fit. And again, this is the longest show by far, 12 episodes. It's the only show that's gotten more than 10 episodes. So how do you do that with other shows? I don't think that would really work. Good night, LL. Thank you for joining us. Again, I don't really go live too often at the moment because, again, I've been so busy over the last few months. I've got a house purchase on the go, which I'm hoping is going to be completed in the next week or so. So once that's cleared up, then I'll have a bit more spare time. I've also been super busy in work, but that is starting to quiet down now. So, fingers crossed, I'll have more spare time on my hands. I'll be able to make more videos, do more live streams. And as I say, I'm planning on hopefully doing this Clone Wars rewatch party. This is a pre-watch party. I'm planning on doing a Clone Wars rewatch party chronologically because I've never done it that way before. So that'll be fun. You're right, but my counterpoint is that maybe other television shows might benefit from structure their episodes that way. It could create a new kind of television, in my opinion. I mean, potentially. It's just, I don't think, because you've got to remember, what ultimately Disney wants is longevity. So they want people to be subscribed for as long as possible. So only in unique cases would they say, yes, okay, we will give you shorter amounts of release dates, because obviously this is releasing over the span of a month, whereas it could have released over the span of 3 months if they did it 1 week per episode, or 1 episode per week. And that's 2 months of potential revenue that they would lose. So I think they make the exception in this case because Tony Gilroy has done such a fantastic job, but I think going forward they will probably decide, no, we want other shows to be released on a weekly basis. Again, premieres are different. They might do 2 or even 3 episode premieres, but then they're going to revert to type with the 1 episode a week just so they can get people subscribed, Again, things like Tales of is a unique case just because they are short stories. They're grouped together. And again, when you think about it, it was only, an hour and a half worth of content for the 2 arcs combined for Tales of the Underworld, which again is similar to kind of 2 episodes of Andor. So that's why it was like that. Imagine if you gave a show like Black Mirror real room to breathe in its episodes. I've only seen individual episodes of Black Mirror. And as far as I'm aware, because every episode is individual and unique, that's obviously why, it's the Netflix model anyway, so they release everything all at once. But Black Mirror, they're individual episodes as far as I'm aware. Like, there's very little in the way of continuity. There's no sequel episodes. I know that there's been in season 4, I think, some recurring stories, but nothing like, it's not the same characters every single episode. So you could just pick an episode and just watch it, and you don't lose anything by doing that. It's like old school Star Trek. Because it was episodic, you could just jump in to any episode more or less, and you wouldn't be like missing out. Orange Mochaccino. Well, I love that name. Orange Mochaccino. Happy birthday, Simon. Appreciate you a lot, my guy. Keep doing what you do. Thank you very much. I really want a coffee now, which I'm going to get one before we start on Andor. Decaf. Obviously, I'm on decaf nowadays because, got to look after the old health. I'm not getting any younger. 37 today. So, I'm definitely... I feel like I'm definitely in the second half of my life, so I've definitely got to be careful on the old health side of things. So yeah, cutting back on caffeine is one thing that I'm trying to do. I'll be going back on a diet after this week because I've plateaued just a little bit with the weight loss. So I've got to get that kick back into gear, lose a bit of weight over the summer months. And, hopefully by the time the new football season starts in August, I will have lost a few stone. And I'll feel a little bit better about myself. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah, definitely considering looking at more after the health as you get older. But thank you, appreciate that. And again, I absolutely adore that username, Orange Mochaccino. Again, in work today, we've got a Costa Coffee in work. And they were very clever. They were very sneaky about what they did. They gave all the staff new outfits to wear, so that everyone's attention was on, oh, look at your outfits, aren't they really nice? They look really smart, they knew. And that was covering up the price hikes. A latte went from £3.40 to £3.75. And they thought that we wouldn't notice because we'd be looking at the brand new uniforms. Well, I noticed. And again, they've got rid of their meal deals and everything. So it's just like, okay, well, I'm not going to go into work and get coffees anymore because it's expensive. Almost £4 a pop for a coffee. No, thank you. Even if you do cinnamon, I am not buying it. Yeah, it's one-offs. I think shows like that can struggle. Some having to set up and complete a whole idea and arc in one go. TV giving great idea space could be game-changing. Another idea we could give is do more than 10 episodes. Like, give a show 20 episodes. Like, be wiser with the budget and just don't rush things. Again, I know that old Star Trek, I don't want to keep going over that point, but old Star Trek would get 24 to 26 episodes a season. I know that there's a lot of filler episodes in there. There was a lot of episodes that used a lot of cost-cutting techniques. Obviously, staying on the starship was something that they did regularly to make sure they didn't have to build new sets every episode. But you could easily do that for a Star Wars show. Like, I would adore a simple show set on a Star Destroyer just about the daily lives of Imperial officers. In the early days of the Empire, before things get really bad, before things get really evil, just have a little slice of life kind of starship adventure with members of the crew of an ISD. Or, if you want to struggle with that, you can put them on a rebel ship. I don't mind that. I really don't mind that. Stone, so British. Yeah, I mean, it's what we were brought up on. Pounds, kilos, stone, whatever you might use. I know the conversion rates for all of them now. There's 14 pounds to a stone. So that's, I think, ideally I'd be looking at losing maybe 3 or 4 stone. So about 42 pounds, maybe, I think. Yeah, so about cooks on a Star Destroyer. Yeah, you know what? You could put the bear in space in Star Wars. Like, I saw someone joke about, the diner from Attack of the Clones, Dexter Jettster's diner. Like, have that as the setting of like Star Wars The Bear. I've never seen The Bear, so don't know. I know it's about a chef, but that's what someone suggested. They were like, yeah, just have that, as a Star Wars show. And Honestly, I don't mind. Maintenance officers, anything that is just unusual and a bit of a slice of life. Even the captain, just, the daily adventures of the captain. I'm an engineer in the US and do not know the conversions off the top of my head. Well, I wouldn't expect you to, because again, how often do you need to use British, metrics in your role as a engineer in the United States? I know you guys love, is it imperial metrics that you use that no one else does? For whatever reason, very strange like that. It's the same with putting the month first. Month, day, year. What's up with that? Like, it's day, month, year. You go ascending in terms of the importance of the date. The day, then the month, then the year. Not the month, then the day, then the year. Because otherwise today would be 5/7/25. But it's not. It's 7/5/25. It confuses me. So we just keep it simple here. Us simple Europeans and our simple ways. Let's just take a quick look and see. I'm always, I'm always a little bit paranoid that they're going to release the episodes early, because I'm sure they've done that in the past. I'm sure that in the past they've released some episodes a little early. And so I always get paranoid that what if they release the episodes now? But no, we still need 6 episodes up on Disney Plus. You do sell lots of other companies, but you don't work on international stuff. Also, you're right, day, month, year is way better. Yeah, imperial and metric for science. Because what do we use? Imperial metrics. Oh yeah, so no, it's imperial system and the metric system. So imperial units are feet, gallons, and pounds. So that's very much American, because you guys measure gas in gallons, whereas we measure petrol in litres. Obviously, you measure mass in pounds, whereas we measure it in... it says kilos, but we use stones specifically for, body weight. But we do use kilos for, food measurements and actual other weights. Temperature, that's the other thing as well. Celsius, why do you guys use Fahrenheit? Doesn't make sense. The only thing that we do use is miles per hour rather than kilometers per hour. That's the difference. And we do use yards in some, in sports, we use yards. So yeah, it's all a little bit mixed. All a little bit mixed. But come on, how are you supposed to know that kilo means 1,000? It's way easier to remember that there are 5,280 feet in a mile. Maybe that's the way your brain works. I always know kilo just from kilobytes. That's the way I learned those measurements, was through computers. That's how I learned it. I love messing with all my European friends about stuff like that. It's good that we got something to laugh about, because really there's not much to laugh about in the world. So we have to laugh about metrics and imperial measurements. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Even now, the stuff with India and Pakistan, it's kicking off. It's come on, guys. Let's not have World War III. Can we just... We don't have a new pope yet. We just chill. Just relax. That's a good point. Who won in the Champions League? Sorry, I'm going off on a little distracted tangent here. I think Inter Milan won in the Champions League. Wow, that is a bit of an upset, I think. But yeah, I've not been watching The Last of Us. I watched season 1, but I've not watched season 2 as of yet, because I know what happens, and I don't like it. I don't want to have to go through it again. Fahrenheit is done, but the logic was to sensationalise high temperatures. Trust me, there's a million stupid things we do in America that we should be dunked on for. Yes, Yes, there is. Although, again, coming from a country that has just had some local elections where we've elected some reform candidates to councils. Luckily, no one near me. But yeah, we've all got things that we have been done that shouldn't be done. It's all very stupid. But what can you say? I'm an elementary school teacher, so I have because in sciences we use metric, yeah. I suppose, yeah, because again, scientific measurements are going to be similar no matter what. Don't get me started on those local elections. Again, thankfully, there was no local elections near me. Well, except I tell a lie. Runcorn is probably the closest one, and there was 6 votes in that. 6 votes. And yet people seem to think that voting for reform is going to change things when reform run on, ideologically one thing, and that's immigration. And local councils have no say on immigration. So people have just been very silly and just kind of bought into nothingness once again. Didn't learn from Trump. So, but anyway, back to Star Wars, because, I don't want to talk about Donald Trump on my birthday. Don't make me talk about Donald Trump on my birthday, please. It's just gonna bring the mood down, and we're already gonna have a pretty down mood with the thousands of people that are gonna get murdered in Gorman, and I think they are gonna go for it. I think we are gonna see some really horrendous scenes here. I think we're gonna see like kids getting mowed down, civilians getting just completely blasted to oblivion. I think we're going to get some serious imperial brutality here, the likes of which we've never seen. So, it's going to be pretty brutal. Pretty brutal. Where are we here? Speaking of immigration, I thought the first 3 episodes handled that incredibly well, I'm assuming. Yeah, I would agree. I think that it showed you the plight of people who are fleeing from a war zone and are just trying to make a life for themselves and are being harassed by the local authorities. All I can say is that if you were to paint that in a very different complexion, then certain people who like the show probably wouldn't. Just because I think the characters weren't of a certain race, I think people who would have not enjoyed it had they been overlooked it, and didn't think about the message. Didn't think about, again, they were just surface level. It's like they didn't think deeper about, well, what does this really symbolize? Kids getting mowed down. Vader wouldn't allow that. The Empire wouldn't condone that. And officially, they wouldn't. If you were to go to the Senate, they would disavow the actions of, a few rogue officers on Gorman. And Darth Vader would go in front of the Senate and make a speech talking about how he loves all of the members of the Empire. And, yeah, he definitely wouldn't. Happy birthday, you're going to stay up to be stressed by an amazing show. I mean, I don't get stressed by it, other than because again, there's a bit of freedom here in knowing that everyone is on the chopping block. Yes, it sucks when a character like Brasso dies. I was really kind of bummed out that they killed him so early. I wasn't bummed out that they killed him because I knew he was going to die at some point, but it was the fact that he was gone at the end of the 3rd episode because I wanted to see more of him. Again, Cinta, I was like, yeah, I kind of expected her to die. I wasn't too invested in her story. I liked that they brought her back in to reconcile with Vel just before they did offer, because again, it gives a more tragic kind of feel to it. And again, I don't think it was queer baiting. I don't think it was anything along those lines because they actually got to, reconcile. They got to have a night together before, she was killed. So I didn't have a problem with that. But yeah, I mean, again, there's a freedom in knowing that, well, these characters are all going to die anyway. There's only 6 episodes left. So, and I think Bix is going to die in this. I think Bix is going to die in this arc. I think she's going to go to Gorman and she's going to be killed. Plain and simple. She's going to finally get over some of her trauma just to be killed. And she is that character who is there to be just completely traumatized, to be completely destroyed by war and then killed. She is a tragic story character. What are my thoughts about Dedra so far? I love Dedra Meero. I really do. I think she is a fantastic Imperial. I think that she, and reading about the actress behind it and what she did, she read up on female psychopaths and female sociopaths and how they behave. And she was talking about how female psychopaths don't necessarily they don't kill people. They get other people to do the killing for them. And so she did a lot of research into that, and I really, really enjoy her performance. And I enjoy Dedra Meero as a villain. Again, her and Sirill Khan are a fantastic couple. The way they play off of each other, they're chalk and cheese in a way, but they just fit so well together. And she's clever, which is something I really appreciate in a villain, is them being clever. So yeah, I'm really, really liking Dedra. Sorry for the last message. I was driving home and I was using the speech-to-text feature. I meant to say we teach both systems. Right. I was going to say I wasn't quite sure what that meant. So again, speech-to-text, still not quite there with the technology yet, apparently. We've got AI that can do all kinds, but speech-to-text is still something that we might struggle with. I think lots of people don't consider that this story really digs into some issues we've never figured out how to solve as a species. Yeah, like how to get rid of spiders. Because, honest to God, if I had to live on Gorman, a spider-infested planet, I think I would want to mine it until the planet collapsed as well. I can actually sympathise with the Empire there just a little bit. I think the Emperor really is using the mining operation as a front just to get rid of the spiders. And I agree with him on that point. I think down with Gorman, down with the spiders, let's collapse the fuck out of that planet. But no, I mean, again, it is delving into some social issues that, again, I've never been opposed to having social issues presented in TV shows as long as it's not in your face, as long as it's not obvious, and as long as that message doesn't detract from the quality of the show, which I'll be honest, I think in some previous shows it has done. Again, Star Trek Picard Season 2, I feel like they were very heavy-handed with the messaging of the culture wars. And I'm not someone who says that lightly. I am very progressive. I'm very much a supporter of equal rights. But there are some occasions where you're just like, wow, this is very in your face, very heavy. And I feel like at points, Star Wars has been a little bit like that. I felt like The Acolyte was a little bit like that at points. Subtlety is very undervalued, I think. Where did that come from? I've just heard a super chat, but it hasn't appeared on screen just yet. It does normally take a little while for them to come through. Charles Grubb, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope you're having a good evening. It just didn't come through on... Oh, there we go. It took a little while for that to come through. But hey, this is a new feature that we've got now down here. It's a little bit delayed. So, but again, thank you, Charles. I really do appreciate that. But if you had to choose, do you have a character that is 100% the overall standout from this series for you? For me, it's tough because Saw, Mon, Luffen, Clea, Cassian, Sirill, Dedra, all incredible. For this season, so far, I would say Saw Gerrera, Clea, and probably Mon Mothma. are the three standouts. The first season, it was Luffen, Dedra, and Sirill. They were the standouts for me in the first season. But again, they're all fantastic characters. I really do think that they are all fantastic characters. Is it bad that I don't see Dedra as a villain just yet? I find myself rooting for her and hope that she makes the right decision. I just love her character. Yeah, I mean, and again, a good villain will make you want them to redeem themselves. Like, she's clever. She is ruthless. She is sympathetic to a point. But, you know, again, in the world of dumb Imperials, you know, I think that you do root for her because you want her to succeed because she is clever. And so, yeah, I don't think it's bad that you... I mean, maybe not necessarily seeing her as a villain, but definitely rooting for her. I can understand. Have a feeling we're going to lose several characters tonight. Luffen, and I agree, Bix and Willman will be next. I don't know about Will, because I don't know if we're going to see Saw Gerrera and his outfit, like, in the show again. I don't know how they're going to fit in, given the fact that it seems like they've fulfilled their purpose now. But Bix, Bix this arc, maybe Luffen in the last arc. I don't think Luffen's going to go just yet, but it's getting close to that point, isn't it? I think it was cool they borrowed from German, France, and then Australia's horrific wildlife. I think we all want Sirill and Dedra to make the right choice. So yeah, obviously the actual location of Gorman was taken directly from Italy. So obviously the city was superimposed on the landscape, but the landscape of where Gorman is a real location in Italy. And then you've got not only the language being an offshoot of French, you had a German actor. Most of the actors were French, but you had a German actor. And Gorman is very much being presented as a Swiss kind of neutral place. So there's all different kinds of, you know, cultures there being mixed up in a melting pot. And it was really great to see the work that went into creating a culture like that, which didn't exist in Star Wars. Like, Gorman literally was just, you know, mentioned in the Tarkin novel for the Tarkin massacre. And again, another thing I really think that they did a good job with was interacting and bringing that Tarkin massacre into canon, but making it separate. You know, they distanced it a little bit, they put it a little bit further back in the timeline, but they created, and it shows you again, the folly of the Gorman people, because the Empire has literally murdered 500 of their civilians, and they are still... They're still there, like, saying, you know what, maybe we should just play ball with the Empire, you know, maybe they'll just leave us alone. It's like, my guys, 500 people died because Tarkin just landed on them. And like, yeah, you know what, yeah, they're not so bad, the Empire. We just got to let them do what they want to do, and they'll leave us alone. Not the case. I'm just glad they made me care so much about Gorman while telling us directly it is on borrowed time. Another case of everyone kind of knowing how this is going to go, but still being attached. Yeah, again, I went back and watched Secret Cargo, which is the Rebels episode where they rescue Mon Mothma just after she's made the speech to the Senate about the Gorman massacre. Just because I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing out on any tidbits, because I don't know if they're going to retcon that in its entirety or if they're going to interact it in some way. So it's nice to see all of the things falling into place of, like, this is how Gorman fell. This is the mistakes the people made. This is how clever the Empire was. Scribbles, first time catching you live, and it's your birthday. Absolutely blessed. Well, welcome, Scribbles, to the live stream. To be fair, I don't do them very often. I do want to do more of them. But I've just been very, very, very busy in the last few months. So I am planning going forward on doing some Clone Wars rewatch parties with the chronological episodes. So again, this is part of the reason why I'm doing so many streams recently, is just to test some of these features out, like the chat highlights, as you can see on screen here, and just kind of get things up and running so that there's less, you know, faffing around when we just want to sit and watch, you know, Clone Wars. That's kind of like, that's what I want to do. I just want to sit there, watch Clone Wars, watch it chronologically, because I've never watched it chronologically before, and go from there, which I think would be pretty cool to see how that goes. I also watched the Rise of the Resistance ride on Disney Plus. I didn't realize that they uploaded the entire ride, because at this point I'm kind of doubting that I'm going to get to go to Galaxy's Edge at any point in the near future. I was supposed to go there in 2020, but then COVID hit, and never got to go back there. And so I thought, you know what, it's probably going to get to the point where I am not going to be able to go on that ride. So I may as well just have a look and see what it's about. And it's a very complicated ride. Again, it looks kind of fun. But yeah, it's just very, very elaborate, which was pretty cool to see. But I imagine it's probably going to be changed at some point in the future, and I probably won't get to go on it, because they like to change the rides quite often, don't they? Jake, thank you very much for the $5. I appreciate that. It is, again, my birthday, so I appreciate the birthday wishes. Thank you very much appreciated. I'm going in December for my honeymoon, so I'm kind of glad I haven't watched it. Oh, good, don't watch it then. And again, I won't spoil it. I mean, it's not like there's massive amounts. It's like a more interactive version of Star Tours, is what I would describe it as. So yeah, definitely enjoy it. Like, I'm very jealous of the fact that you're getting to go. So good for you. For me, it's like it's going to be a couple of years before I can even save up for a holiday, having just purchased a house. And so we'll see how things go there. Am I saying this right? Rach Etcher, Raketcher. Thank you for the $5. I very much appreciate that. Again, I didn't stream, for people to donate. It is always welcome, but I didn't just stream to donate, because I was planning on doing these pre-watch parties, as I did for Skeleton Crew, like for the first 2 arcs, but I'll be honest, I slept a bit much on the last one last week, and then the week before I didn't sleep, and so I was too tired to do it. So this has been the first week where I felt energized enough. Oscar, thank you very much for the 20. I really do appreciate that. I promise you, all of your money is going to go towards Zuko, because that's just where my money goes now, is on him. Doesn't it? All my money goes on you. You get new toys. You get treats. And also, he did have a bladder infection last month, so he's on new food, which is expensive. Yeah, it's a lifelong diet he's on now. So, yeah, I'd never be able to go, but the stars aligned, no pun intended. Well, you know what? If you're going to do it at any point, honeymoon is a really good reason to go. So enjoy it. Enjoy the wedding. And, hopefully the marriage works out. But, at least you can say you got to go to Galaxy's Edge on the honeymoon. Rachicha. I've also been called Rachito and Rachika. Okay, Rachicha. It's just because there was a gap in there. And obviously, depending on where you're from, there's different ways of saying that. So, for me, in England, R-A-C-H would be Rach. In German, it would be Rach. But I'm guessing Rach is that more of a... I don't know. Is it Americanism? Is it a... I'm not even sure. To be honest. So glad I was able to catch you on a live. I'll look out for the next one. Have fun this evening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your birthday. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you very much for joining us. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have fun. Enjoy Andor. And I definitely look forward to seeing you in a future live stream. As I say, I'm hoping that I'll be able to do another pre-watch party next week for Andor. And then for the ones once we finish that, maybe on the Fridays do the rewatch parties. So I'm so excited for tonight. I rewatched all of Season 1 the past 2 days. Season 2 has improved the viewing experience of the first season pretty significantly. I did that before the season started. As mentioned, I went back and watched Secret Cargo, the Rebels episode where Mon Mothma makes the speech about the Gorman massacre. So it's good to see that people are going back and looking it back up, because, again, it's just nice to see everyone, enjoying the show. Etch, thank you very much for that birthday wish. And also, Django. I was going to say, how's the head? But, we all know that you've been decapitated. But again, thank you very much for the birthday wishes. I do appreciate it. But again, it's nice to see so many people coming out and getting ready for Andor Season 2. We've only got half an hour to go. Again, we'll go for another 20 minutes, because I want to give myself 10 minutes to get a coffee, get set up for, recording a reaction, and just prep myself for the carnage that is to come in this third arc, because, it is going to be pretty heavy, I think. It's a bit of my name, but also a reference to an obscure song I love, so it's a nice mix of things. That is fair. That is absolutely fair. As I say, everyone has unique usernames here. Mine is not unique. It is literally what it says on the tin, because I'm terrible with coming up with names. So, fair play to anyone that is able to have a creative username. So I'm just again refreshing Disney Plus to make sure the episodes don't come out early, because again, I'm so paranoid about them doing that. And even just seeing the thumbnails for the previous episodes, I'm just like, yeah, come on, let's do this. You know what? I'm curious as to what happened to the TIE Avenger. Because I was convinced that when we saw that on screen for the first time, knowing it was going to be in the show, I was convinced that, that's going to end up being crashed or destroyed. Because, obviously, the Rebellion doesn't use it later down the line. Certainly, they don't seem to copy any of its technology. But at this point, it would have been 2 years since that was stolen. So, either it's been taken away somewhere else, or it has been crashed. Who knows? But one thing's for certain, the Empire doesn't have it anymore. Very much like the TIE Defender, that is a thing of the past. Hope I have a really good birthday for sure. The show has made me so stressed I need a breathing mask or something. Go to Saw Gerrera. Huff the Rhino. Become one with the Rhino, as he says. We are the Rhino. That was such a good monologue, So very different to the Luffen one, but so good. I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like there's way more talk and hype about Andor now than there used to be. Just seems like more people are talking about it now. I think it's about perception, isn't it? Firstly, the first season, people were really uncertain on it until it actually was out in full. So, in fact, I remember a lot of reactions to when Andor was announced. People were like, well, we don't want a show about Cassian Andor. That guy from Rogue One. Who's going to want to watch that? So there was already a bit of lack of interest from the beginning on it, because they assumed it was just going to be a generic show about his backstory. And whilst that is in some way true about it being about his backstory, I don't think many people envisioned it being so intelligent, so well thought out, so, engaging, so challenging in so many different ways, and so entertaining. And now this second season has come around. I think because it's been 2 years, almost 3 years, since the first season, people have kind of just let it slip under the radar, and now it's back in full force. Everyone wants to talk about it. Everyone knows what's coming. Everyone is hypothesizing what's going to happen. So I think that's why. It's easier to remember and recommend Simon Talks Star Wars as opposed to something by Ben Quadraneros, in my opinion. I mean, that's true, but sometimes a catchy name can really make the difference, to a YouTube channel. Only Andor could keep me up this late. I agree. I've got work in the morning, and I'm going to suffer for it. I tried getting it off, and they said no. Wouldn't even give me my birthday off. How cruel is my workplace? But yeah, I wouldn't be up otherwise. I think because Andor really took off through recommendations and word of mouth, but it's got an established fan base now to be ready to analyse and discuss right on release. And again, I think, yeah, it's getting the credit it deserves now. People are excited. Most people are excited. Some people don't like it because it's just not their cup of tea, which is fine. But I think most people are excited about it. Which, again, it will be interesting to see the viewing figures for the whole show. The one thing I don't like about streaming is the inability to really judge a show's success. Because, again, you're reliant on the platform giving you the information. You're reliant on the platform releasing financial data that is accurate. And it's harder to determine success by, minutes streamed than, box office. And so it's easy for me just to be like, right, this grossed X amount at the box office. This was its budget. So you know quite clearly whether it made a profit or it bombed. Whereas with these shows, it's kind of like, well, it had X amount of millions of views in the first day. And it's like, well, it's not even millions of views. It's like millions of minutes viewed. And it's like, okay, well, what does that mean exactly? How am I supposed to know if that's good or bad, indifference? And I think it's another good way of them being able to, kind of fudge things and cover things up. Because, let's face it, I'm sure that I'm just seeing a Twitter account complaining about The Last of Us going woke. It's like, did you fucking play the games, you dumb shits? Did you watch the games? Watch the games, play the games. If you weren't expecting The Last of Us to have, queer characters and, non-conservative values, then you were not paying attention to the games. So, anyway, I don't want to get into that whole topic of discussion, because that's why I've not seen the second season yet, because I can't handle the discourse around it. I don't want to have to relive the events of that game, because it was a traumatic experience playing that second game. But yeah, so the only metric of success we can go by right now is that I do believe it is the most critically acclaimed Star Wars show or media since Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, I think, I said this in the video that I made last week. I can't remember which one it was, but I'd made mention of the fact that it's the only show that has consistently not divided the Star Wars audience in a major way. Even The Mandalorian Season 3 divided the audience. There were still detractors. There was still a vocal minority who hated it. Whereas with Andor, yes, there is the odd person who doesn't like it, but I've never seen an audience be so united in praise and general agreement of the quality. And it's a sad thing to have to say for Star Wars that again, it's not unexpected, because even the prequels, no one agreed that it was good or bad. Everyone had different opinions. It was divisive. But I think this is one of those few shows that, yeah, has been kind of almost universally praised. Have yourself a wonderful birthday, Simon. I need to get ready to catch you on next week. Hopefully, night everyone for Jeddah. Thank you, Oscar. And again, thank you very much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the episodes and you have a wonderful evening. So take care. I think the more extreme people's opinions may be, the more likely they are to react to things extremely at the end of the day. For me, Andor feels like prestige television. Yeah, it is. And again, I don't want to jinx it because we've still got half a season to go. It's unlikely, but it could still fall apart. But it's just on every level. It's very intelligent. It's well thought out. It's deep. It's meaningful. It's entertaining. And the characters all feel unique. They all feel different. And that's something I think a lot of shows struggle with now. A lot of shows and movies struggle to have characters who have, unique personalities, who have unique auras. And, it was ironic in the first season, I felt that maybe Cassian was probably the least interesting of all of the cast. Not to say that he was bad, it was just like, I think his story was the least interesting for me out of Luffen, Bix, Dedra, Sirill, all of those people who played, like, a big part. I always felt like their stories were things that engaged me more than Cassian's, because, in a way, like, Cassian was the carrier of the story. He was moving the story forward, but there was always events going on around him that were really interesting. So, it's not, again, not to say that he was bad, but it was just like, I really, really enjoyed the side characters, which is, again, if you can make interesting side characters, then you don't have to even worry that much about your main character, because, you're already winning at that point. Where are we? We've only got about another 8 minutes. Thank you, Rhinonymous. I love that name as well, Rhinonymous. Really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy it. And we'll see, obviously what happens on the other side very shortly. I've really enjoyed Saw this season. Yes, Saw has been, again, a refreshing, like, change of pace. You've got your kind of covert rebels like Luffen, where they've got this very complicated double life. Everything is in code. And you've just got Saw Gerrera, who's like, breathe in the toxic fumes, let freedom invade and burn your lungs. And he's completely batshit crazy, but he loves it. I love a person who just revels in their insanity. That's why I love the Emperor, because he just revels in being evil, and he's so good at it. And Saw Gerrera is the same. He's just like, fuck it. I hate, the Empire. I don't care how I get back at them. I'm just going to enjoy it. I think the thing for me that stands this show up more than anything is all the posts criticising it do so respectfully and with a real genuine critique. Takes something special for that, I think. Yeah, 99.9%. Obviously, you've got your odd bricks and screws comments. But most people, when they talk about, like, things that they didn't enjoy or wants to see differently or, maybe have a different opinion on, they're generally respectful. You don't see the word woke thrown around, even though there's a diverse cast and, there's, LGBTQ characters in there. Although, again, some people did have to try and rage bait the lesbian kiss last week. But they are the vast minority. Like, you cannot proclaim this show to be part of a culture war without recognizing that actually, yes, it's got a deeper meaning, and that culture war has meaning there. So, yeah. I would love to see more of Saw's crew as well. Easily the coolest the Rebels have ever looked. Yeah, there's some really interesting crew in there. And again, I'm pretty certain that one of his crew in Rogue One is a survivor of the Gorman Massacre. I think it's one of the female scouts. I can't remember her name. But, yeah, I really want to know more about his crew. We obviously know Tubes, and that's it, but we don't really know much about him. I get the chills at the beginning of each arc, seeing 4, 3, 2, 1 BBY on screen as we inch closer to A New Hope and Rogue One. Is this just me? No, definitely not just you. I also have loved the kind of consistency in the first 2 arcs of it being Bix's kind of living nightmare of Dr. Ghost. But now that she's gotten revenge, I don't think they're going to start with a nightmare for her. I think the start of this arc is going to be like her finally having some redemption, having had some closure, and finally coming to terms with her trauma, only then for her to be killed at the end of the arc. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. Thank you, my phenomenal figures. Really, really appreciate the birthday wishes. 37 today. Really feeling it. Really, really feeling it. But I couldn't have asked for a better, birthday than firstly sharing it with all of you and then getting some Andor episodes as well. So, again, pretty good start to the birthday. When shows succeed at starting really beautiful conversations about philosophy, human issues, and writing, then to me that belongs in the pantheon of top-level television. Yes, and they do it whilst disguising it in the guise of entertaining television that even the layman can enjoy. You know, it's not overly sophisticated to the point where it comes across as arrogant or convoluted. You know, most people can understand it at the base level, and yes, I think a lot of people can read between the lines as well. It's odd to me we have Sintervel and Bix Cassian together, but only one is problematic. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy for thinking that's ridiculous. It's such a dissonance. Again, it's just people's prejudice. That's all it is. There'd be people who don't like Bix Cassian because they are people of colour. But, you know, that you're never going to be able to stop those people from having those ridiculous views. So, he might not be. What makes you think Vader would be okay with that? What's this referring to? I feel like this is an in-jest comment, but I can't remember exactly what this is referring to. And Q, I always see your reaction on reaction channels. It's nice to actually see you live. It's nice to see you here. Welcome to the stream. Although, again, we're only going to be live for a few more minutes because Andor is coming up very, very shortly. So, you know, it's nice to see you, though. Again, this kind of the way it goes is as we get closer to the episodes, more people jump onto YouTube because they're like, oh, I'm going to watch it. Is anyone else watching it? But because I do reactions and I don't do watch parties, more people tend to come in as we hit the start of the episode. But, you know, if you're not subscribed, subscribe because I will have my reactions out a little bit later on. Tonight, this morning, wherever you are, you know. And I'm going to go get myself a cup of coffee as well, just to kind of get the energy flowing, you know, huff the rido, as we say. I love that. I love the fact that it's like just a little monologue like that can just, you know, coin a phrase, huff the rido, breathe the rido, you are the rido, you know. I don't like Bix Cassian because I hate love. I don't know if that's a serious comment or not. It's a little concerning if that is if that's true. No one should hate love. You know, love's a good thing. Sure, we can be jealous of those who have it if we don't have it. We've all been there. But we should encourage love. We should, you know, hope for more of it in the world. Right, again, I'm just refreshing Disney Plus here to see. Just by chance. Come on, Disney. It's my birthday. Can you not release it early? Can you not release it early for all of us? I'm good with love, don't worry. Thanks for doing this pre-party. Got me through this grueling time before the release. Don't worry about it. Again, I tend to sit around like in the hour and a half before, you know, just thinking about what's going to happen. Just kind of, you know, kind of pondering on what's going to happen here. Sirill eventually turns to the rebellion. Thoughts? I'm going to counter that point with saying that he is not going to turn to the rebellion. He's going to go more to the Empire. I think Dedra is going to be the one that has doubts. And that's the dynamic of the two. Like, Dedra is going to be regretful. Sirill is going to be like, this is fucking awesome. I'm loving this. This is the Empire for, you know, in power. Oh, thank you very much for the $10, Ratch. I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Hi, this is my first live. What makes you think Vader might be okay with assault that takes place in the show? So I'm assuming, are you referring to the whole issue with the sexual assaults and Star Wars Theory? I'm guessing that's what that's coming up for. Again, it's not to say that Vader would be okay with it. Firstly, my issue was the fact that that's a pretty poor defense for sexual assault being in Star Wars. It's like, okay, if you don't think it should be in there, that's your opinion. That's fine. We'll agree to disagree. I don't think there's too much of an issue with being in there if it's done tastefully. However, using the argument that Vader wouldn't condone it is a bit weird. Because, like, why are you bringing Darth Vader into it? And also, I don't think he would care. Like, if it's not interfering in his plans, I don't think he gives a shit what the low-level officers do. Like, if he was doing it and it was in the way, if it was someone of value, then yeah, he'd probably stop it because he's like, that's a person of value, don't fuck him up, force choke. But if it was a random civilian, don't think he cares. He walked through a village in Kenobi and snapped a child's neck to prove a point. I don't think he's going to stop, an officer from doing things he shouldn't, but it doesn't matter because he wasn't there, What's your favourite Star Wars movie? I always go back and forth on this, but like, if I always go back for a rewatch, it's always Return of the Jedi. Just because I'm a huge fan of the Battle of Endor, I'm a huge fan of the confrontation between Luke and Vader and the Emperor. It's not the best Star Wars movie, I will agree, but it's my favourite just because of the emotional connection. So yeah, that's my favourite. People are hating on the SA, but let's take a step back and remember all the atrocities they've committed, they do as they please. Yeah, blow up planets, murder civilians, enslave people, we've seen them falsely imprison people. Nothing is above them. And again, it's an authoritarian regime. It happens, So again, I don't have a problem with people who don't want to see it in Star Wars. Okay, we all have different things we want to see. Again, it's not necessarily saying that it should be or shouldn't be in there. It's just what you want to see. Doesn't make it right or wrong. But then using the defense of the Empire wouldn't do this or Vader wouldn't let this happen is where the strangeness comes in. Because it's like, why are you trying to defend Vader and the Empire if, you don't support them? But yeah, we are getting very, very close now. So I'm going to get ready to wrap this all up. Once again, thank you everyone who has tuned in. Thank you everyone for the super chats. I really do appreciate it. Again, it's not, I don't stream for the super chats. They are, very much appreciated. And again, they're all probably going to go to Zuko. But I am going to go and grab a coffee. We've got just over 5 minutes till the episodes go live. But then, as I say, I will be back for hopefully some rewatch parties with the Clone Wars in a little bit. I'll put more details out on that on the channel. I'll do an announcement video because I really do want to go back and rewatch the Clone Wars as a chronological event. So go and watch it chronologically. I've never done that before. So, as always, my stream has crashed, so I'm just going to reload it so I can see the chat again. But yes, I do really want to say thank you to everyone for for stopping by. Again, apologies for those who are just showing up. Thank you, Hilary. Really appreciate it. I know that people tend to show up at the last minute because these are pre-watch parties. People are jumping on to see the watch parties. But my reactions will be up a little bit later on. Enjoy Andor, everyone. It's going to be a hell of a ride. Get your tissues. And I'll be back in a little bit later down the line. As I say, with my reactions and also with the rewatch parties later in the week. So stick around. Enjoy Andor. Thanks for tuning out for the stream. Thank you for the super chat.